Does anybody? Oh, perfect. Does anybody have any questions about finding that report?
Could you do it one more time, please?
Sure. So I'm on the main screen. I just logged in. You're going to go to reporting menu, and it's under participant, and it's the participant by grant with services. If you hit the one without services, you'll still get a report, but we want the ones with services because, like I said, everybody that we're counting towards this grant should definitely have services. And the ISS is the first one. All of these grants are LWIA 90. And then you find your grant number from here. And then you hit view report. You don't have to put in the title and all of that. And once you do that, it's gonna be an open, and it's a PDF file. You can just save as, and then just send it to me. This one will show me that you know how to get the report, and this will also verify the numbers. If you see that you run this report and you're missing folks, please email us and let us know so that we can work on, finding your clients or see what's going on, so, if they're not coming through. Anybody else have? Yeah.
Okay, so it was in the IWDS, right, under reporting menu?
Yep, so you go to IWDS, you're gonna log in with your personal ID,
right?
Password. This is the main screen.
Okay, I got that.
And it's right here, reporting.
Hold on. I got reporting menu.
Yep, reporting menu you'll hit.
Okay.
And it says participant.
Oh, there it is, okay.
And you go participant by grant with services.
Participant, oh, there it is. Okay, thank you.
No problem. Anybody else? All right, so if you guys can run that report and send that to me today, like I said, we just want to make sure that the numbers that we have for you guys are also the numbers that are in our system so that we are good to go. If there's any issues, or if you run the report, like I said, and you're like, wait, I have extra people on here, or the folks that are on your report are missing services, please let us know so that way we can fix that. All right, so we
put a title, Tara?
Huh? Nope.
You have to put a title in that second box?
Nope. The only thing you want to do is LWIA 90 and your grant number.
I got that.
And that's it. Once you hit those two, you just hit view report.
Oh.
And like I said, you guys should be running these every week, so that way you're keeping a track of your numbers and you'll be able to tell immediately if your numbers are off. Anybody else? Okay, perfect. All right, so we talked to Asian. Oh, go ahead. Let's see.
I think you're correct.
All right, the next group we're going to work with is BCS. The last update we have from you is you have 24 people in the program and you have 16 credentials. See, I don't know if you can mute. I don't know whose phone that's coming from.
I was down the hall, and Nicole and I did all these reports. Mr. Welch came down one day and said, "I understand you don't want to do this report."
Hey, Dee, can you mute them?
And it's just every time he calls, he says, "Hey, I need this stuff. I can just report it." And then at the end of the year, he came to me and said, "How would you, like, become administrator?" I said,
Give us 1 second.
And then all of you basically do this. Yeah, the rest of the but Mr. Welch has taken our population of students from under 300. I think at that point.
Hey, Tara.
Uh-huh.
Who was it that said they were in a multitasking and in a meeting?
Tanisha Carter. So let me email her.
Yeah. And then Dee, you can't mute them?
Really,
I muted everyone, but I can't unmute Tara. She has to unmute herself.
Okay, there we go. Whew. All right,
Okay.
Eddie, go ahead. You're up.
All righty. So yes, so currently the 24, and I'm gonna have to see where the disconnect is. Maybe a couple are not carrying into Illinois WorkNet.
Okay.
Illinois WorkNet. I have 16 credentials and 13 in paid work experience. So
And 13 in paid work experience.
right.
Paid work experience. And okay. So when you send me the report, just make sure you see the 13 with the paid work experience service, and then the occupational skills for your credentials. I would make sure that's in IWDS first, and then we'll worry about it transferring over to Illinois WorkNet so we can see what's going on.
Sounds good.
Okay. Anything else you guys are having any issues with, or?
No, I think right now we're good as far as I know.
Okay. All right. Let me know. For the people for the other folks that didn't get the credential, do they have another opportunity that you guys already have set up to get the credential?
Yeah, so we had those that did not attain try once again with another one of our groups.
Mm-hmm.
So if they do not get that, then what we're going to do is probably add them to the training that we're going to do with the second cohort.
Okay. Okay. So they'll have multiple opportunities to get it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. And then for the folks so I see we went from 24 total. We have 16. Like you said, there's an opportunity to retest for the forklift. And then 13 paid experience. Are you guys still putting in the other 11 in the paid work experience?
Yeah, so we're working on, I know a couple of them got employment through another service agency that's not WEO funded.
Okay.
So we're working on trying to place as many of those 11 as possible.
Okay, and let us know. So what we like to do with these grants is just make sure they all equal out to the total number. So even if you have 13 that we're paying for, just put us a quick note or anything to say, hey, the other 11 are paid by, another grant or something like that, so we can still see that the numbers are equal in the program. All right. Erie, do you want to give us an update?
I've gotten the three that I have registered. I've gotten them to make their Illinois WorkNet accounts, and I'm going through it right now, actually, just to make sure that all their stuff is in there. And then I've got 2 more appointments, actually 3 appointments today for CNC. So I'm going to be putting those in later this afternoon.
Okay, so you'll have a total of 6.
Yeah, I'm going to have them create their accounts after they're done with the tape testing. I'm going to have them stay in the computer lab, and I'm going to show them how to set up their account so we can do it together.
Okay, make sure they're going to go into Illinois WorkNet first, complete their intake forms, and that's the PowerPoint we sent out to you guys.
Yes, and then I saw here on IWDS is that I searched the kid's name and his birthday, and then it got me to his to the customer menu where it says case management, and that way I can check his profile, correct?
Yeah, but you want to make sure that they start everything in Illinois WorkNet first, right. And that way that information will transfer over to IWDS prior to you tabing everyone. Right. Can I check? Well, this kid I already taped, so okay. I'm just checking his profile to make sure everything is in there. Okay. Yeah. So make sure his information. You know what I mean? Like I'm checking his case management. Whatchamacallit, his file. With all the eligibility documents, and you still have the checklist, right? Right. I have the checklist. So now I'm going to add his eligibility documents. Okay. And then for the future ones, don't tape test them until you put them in Illinois WorkNet first, because you want to do the suitability review and say they're actually suitable for the program. And so just work in that order of the PowerPoint, so that way it kind of stops you from putting information in either too early. I'll do the Illinois WorkNet accounts before I tape them today. Yeah. Okay, sounds good. Thank you. All right. No problem. So we'll have a total. Let me know how today goes. When you run that report, you should see a total of 6 people in your IWDS report.
See here it says, oh, maybe we'll have to, it says, okay, so I'm on IWDS, my customers,
Mm-hmm.
and then it says search Illinois WorkNet customers, right? Because I want to get them on my page.
Yeah, you're just searching. You got to search their applications.
Yeah, but now it's not like showing me a list.
Okay, so call me afterwards. Call me at 12 and we'll walk through it. But I would definitely print off the PowerPoint and kind of have it next to you so that way
Okay.
you can work step by step with the PowerPoint that we went over.
All right. Thank you, Tara.
Metropolitan?
Nothing's changed from last week for us.
Okay, so you still have your 19 folks in. You have your CPR and your OSHA for those 19. Remember you had one student that didn't.
That had to test.
Yeah, did he test already?
Not yet.
Okay, so we
Not
have
yet.
19 people in the program, but we have 18 CPR and OSHA 10, or OSHA, right?
Correct.
Perfect. Okay, any other updates?
Nope, still recruiting for our next cohort.
Okay, and then when are they going to test for the NCCER?
That should be, hold on, they finished I believe the week of the June 28th, that week.
Okay, just give us an update on that and let us know how everything's going.
I will, thank you.
Okay, OAI, what's your update for this week?
Yes, good morning. We have 13 participants in the in-school youth. We're moving forward with our out-of-school youth recruitment. And all 13, I believe, received their forklift certification, and I believe 10 have received their NIMS certification.
Okay, 13, so I need to increase from 9 to 10 on NIMS, and then out of school you're working on now. Perfect. And you guys have uploaded the OSHA and the forklift certificates to Illinois WorkNet, right?
I do believe Don has done that. I'm actually in there looking to see.
Okay, just double check and make sure those are uploaded, and then make sure for your youth for IWDS, when you run the report, you're seeing their credentials.
Yeah, I've ran the report. I don't see their credentials under that report, so that's something we're going to have to take a look at. And see.
Yeah, when you send it to me.
Because all it's showing is their ISSs in there.
Okay, so yeah, we definitely got to fix those. So when you send the email, and you guys put the credentials in.
Their credentials, yeah, are in both Illinois WorkNet and IWID, so I'm not sure.
Okay. So definitely attach Jim Potts to that email and let him know that you don't see the credentials that you put in for your students.
Okay.
Okay. Peoria Public Schools. All right, let's go to skills.
Hey, Tara. Hey, Tara.
Hello.
We understand we have 11 folks in the program right now. With that cohort recently started, the second cohort. And right now I think we're working to get everything all synced up, and that's the call-in for you and Brian to just, get that. As far as the budget modification, I'm working with our youth director just to make sure I have all the buckets all clarified. I looked over the table to make sure that I have the right cost in that that work-based learning. I think we're okay there, and I think that's it. I just gotta get it done, as they say. So.
Okay, perfect. Peoria Public Schools, did you guys jump on? Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and let Kaitlyn get in.
Okay.
Hold on one second. It is definitely. Okay, it should be do you see the share?
I do.
Perfect.
Just 1 second.
There we go. Awesome.
Okay. Can you see my main slide?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Great. Perfect.
Good.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks for that brief introduction, Tara. I'm really happy to be here. My name is Kaitlyn McGovern. I'm a program manager with the Chicago Jobs Council, and I'm going to be talking to you all about family-centered coaching, which is a free downloadable toolkit as well as sort of an overall approach to working with whole families to meet their goals. So I'm going to tell you more about what family-centered coaching is, sort of what the approach and toolkit is, and then I'm going to show you some specific tools that I'm hoping you might be able to use sort of right away, right after this webinar. So I've sort of packed in the slides here, but I was hoping between sections we could sort of pause and get your reactions, questions, thoughts. So I'm hoping there will be time for that, for you to either unmute yourself and share your questions or maybe type into the chat as well. Either way should work fine. Okay, and then also following, I plan to send my slides as well as a link to the toolkit, either to this group or I can send it to DCO to share out with you. So you will get access to this information in another form. Okay, so let's see here. How do I, oh, there we go. Okay. So before I jump in, I just want to make sure everyone knows who Chicago Jobs Council is. I know some of you and I know your organizations, but just in case. So Chicago Jobs Council, we are a 37-year-old nonprofit organization, and our mission is right here to move people out of poverty through employment using on-the-ground expertise, advocacy, and capacity building. So we are a member-based organization of about 50 organizations currently doing workforce development or related social service work. And our vision is listed here, that all people, regardless of where they start or where they've been, can access employment as a pathway out of poverty. So we do this work, accomplish this mission and vision with our members in two main ways. We have a policy and advocacy department where we work mostly at the local Chicago level, but also statewide in Springfield. And our main policy initiatives include eliminating barriers to employment for job seekers. So we have, for example, a bill right now in Springfield to eliminate driver's license suspensions for non-moving violations as a barrier to employment for a lot of job seekers. And then we also work to align workforce development with other related social service systems such as housing, adult education. And finally, our policy work tries to ensure that funding and resources go to workforce development programs in the region. And then what I do is our other main bucket of work, capacity building through our Frontline Focus Training Institute. So my slides seem to be moving a little slower than I wanted them to. Oh, there we go. So the Frontline Focus Training Institute, we deliver trainings and resources to help frontline workforce professionals build their capacity to meet the employment needs of disadvantaged job seekers, low-income workers, and employers. So what this means, we offer about 25 different public calendar courses per year for job developers, supervisors, and other workforce leaders, as well as case managers and direct service staff. The courses cover a range of topics, including pitching to employer partners, conducting intake assessments, working with clients with literacy challenges, all sort of the skills frontline workforce staff might need to do their jobs effectively. In addition to our public calendar trainings that are available to anyone, we also currently are accepting applications for our Workforce Professionals Credential Cohort, which is a cohort of 20 organizations to receive intensive training on the competencies and skills that frontline staff might need. And then finally, we also do customized trainings and sort of consultant or technical assistant projects across the country for workforce organization. So our most recent technical assistance project is with the Kellogg Foundation, and is the reason I'm here, because Kellogg has developed this family-centered coaching toolkit and has given Chicago Jobs Council support specifically to train and implement this toolkit in workforce and related social service systems. So here is a link to our website where you can find out more information about our public calendar offerings, about the credential cohort I just mentioned, and sort of our other programming that we offer through Frontline Focus. But today, as I mentioned, I'll be actually talking about family-centered coaching. Sorry, I don't know why. So I'll just keep talking and then hopefully the slides will change in a minute. Stuck for some reason. Okay, so what I plan to talk about today, as I mentioned, is family-centered coaching. So family-centered coaching, what I plan to do is tell you more about what it is and then look at three of the specific tools in the toolkit. So who's in my family is a tool, the Wheel of Life, and the related content modules, and then plan, do, review as a tool that you can use. And hopefully I will have plenty of time for your questions as well. So I'm going to start with the overview of what family-centered coaching is. So family-centered coaching, this is a screenshot of the toolkit itself, and the link down at the bottom is where you can download the full toolkit for free. So family-centered coaching was created by the Kellogg Foundation back in 2016 when they identified a gap with their two-generation grantees, so grantees serving parents and children. And there was desire from these grantees across the country to have a coaching approach that was truly whole family focused. So coaching was really an emerging best practice in the field at the time, but there wasn't a lot of research or resources around how to serve whole families with that coaching approach. They also wanted resources that were free, able to be adapted and used across various systems and partners. And so that was sort of the original goal of family-centered coaching. So starting in 2016, Kellogg consultants did a landscape analysis across the country and developed the toolkit after this landscape analysis. And then they tested it with their steps and move up grantees who were doing employment with two-gen families. And they got real-time feedback to refine the tools from these steps and move up sites. The local Chicago site was JARC who implemented this toolkit, and then the rest were in various cities across the country. So once they refined the tools, they sort of released the toolkit in its current form. So over 50 consultants, advisors, content experts helped put this together. And the Prosperity Agenda is our close partner in Seattle, who we're working with to spread, scale, and test the toolkit across the country and collect evidence on its effectiveness. So I know you all as Youth Career Pathways grantees are likely already working with whole families. And so I hope that this is just an extra resource and useful to add to your work with families. So what is family-centered coaching? So at its core, it's a set of strategies and tools that programs and staff can use to help whole families reach their goals. It can be used in nonprofits, public systems, anyone working with families. It has been used in workforce, housing, TANF, community college systems, early child care systems, and the list goes on. So the key elements you'll see here is that it really places families in the driver's seat. So the parents are the experts of their own lives. And so with this approach, you're being strengths-based and pulling on the strengths of the person sitting across from you to meet their own goals. Alternatively, in many social service systems using a more case management approach, it's more directive. So staff is really providing families a specific resource, referral, or fixing their problems in some way. And this is a bit different. With family-centered coaching, the coaches serve as a guide and really are going along with the parent's agenda versus the program's agenda only. So also, the toolkit has integrated lessons from trauma-informed care, behavioral economics, and executive skills. These are sort of emerging best practices in brain science that have been integrated into the toolkit. It works on serving the whole family. So the staff person would work with a whole family, or at least take the whole family into account in their sessions. And family is defined by the participants. So who do they see as their family, whether traditional or non-traditional. And then finally, there's a fluidity of approach model. So the idea is that you meet participants where they are based on what they need at that time. So the idea being you can't force someone into something they're not necessarily ready for, but rather we go with them at their stage of change and use a corresponding approach that really meets them where they are. And then all of this is informed by a racial equity lens. So the toolkit really looks at how coaches need to understand the impacts of systemic and institutional racism on families, and often perpetuated by systems and organizations that we work in. So there's tools to help coaches and organizations analyze their implicit bias, as well as understand how they could use a racial equity lens to close racial equity gaps for their families and not perpetuate or ignore these gaps. And then again, the toolkit is open source, it's free, anyone can download and use the tools immediately. Here's just a couple quotes about the toolkit from our program officer and then folks who have used it. So I'll just let you all read through this versus reading through them myself. But lots of folks have had really positive feedback with the toolkit so far, and it's so promising because it's really grounded in these emerging best practices. It's been tested with the field and refined based on that feedback. And it just really has the potential to build greater rapport with families, to help families feel valued, empowered, so that they do come back and keep working with you and sort of reach their own outcomes and goal measures. So again, we're trying to sort of continue spreading and testing it throughout the country. So the key aspects of the toolkit, first are the family-centered coaching values and principles. So these are the sort of foundation of the toolkit. So frontline staff using family-centered coaching, it's not just about what you're doing, but sort of how you're working with families, what you have to believe to make this work successful. So as you can see here, the values are having a full family focus, so working with the whole family, being family-led, as in they are the drivers of the sessions, respect, which I think is fairly self-explanatory, strengths-based, so really emphasizing and working and building on the parents' or the participants' strengths, not just their challenges or barriers, racial equity and inclusion, and then fluidity of approach, so really meeting participants where they are, being transparent about your services, what you can offer, how you can help that participant, being peer-based, so really coming to your work from a peer perspective, that you both have different expertise and strengths that are necessary for this participant-coach relationship. Choice, so providing and talking through participant choices as much as possible, and responsiveness, so making sure we are responsive to participant needs and goals. So those are the core values. Oh, I'm sorry. So those are the core values. And then in addition, the toolkit has, along with these values, additional information on sort of the coaching mindset and core coaching skills, such as active listening, asking powerful questions, etc. So if you're interested, there's much more information on these values as well as additional information on coaching in general. And I'm going to actually show you more about some of the specific family-centered coaching tools. So this first one is the approach wheel. I think of this as sort of one of the cornerstones of the toolkit. So the approach wheel is related to that value of fluidity of approach. So the idea being that families need different things at different times to be successful. And so we as coaches need to be fluid, both over a single session, but also over multiple sessions. So this approach wheel, in the middle, you'll see 3 approaches that coaches can use with families. So case management in red, readiness assessment in yellow, and goal setting in blue. So what these mean is that when a participant needs case management, this is often the default in social service organizations, but in family-centered coaching, it acknowledges that it can sometimes be overused. So when a participant is really in emergency crisis mode, so they have an immediate need, often an immediate basic need, such as food, housing, shelter, we can put on our case management hat to provide them resources, services, referrals to help meet that need. And so case management can be used effectively, and there are ways to be more participant-led and strengths-based with case management. So checking that folks really want to receive a service, a referral, a resource, making sure we're making warm referrals so that the participant really knows where else they're going, what to expect when they reach that referral, things like that. So again, case management is often used really in this crisis immediate need mode. Readiness assessment is another approach we can use. This is also called motivational interviewing. So readiness assessment is used when participants are more stuck or ambivalent about making a change in their life. So a change could be anything. It could be enrolling in the program, it could be looking for a job, enrolling in training, etc. And so this is when participants are, again, stuck, ambivalent, unsure about making this change. So the idea is that we would use readiness assessment because participants, if we push them into something, it will likely not stick. So instead, using motivational interviewing, we can ask powerful questions to sort of figure out what's going on under the surface. What might be holding them back? What are their underlying values, and how do those connect to potentially making this change or staying the same? So the toolkit has a series of motivational interviewing questions, strategies, and techniques to work with participants in this stage. And then finally, the ultimate goal of family-centered coaching is to get to a goal-setting approach. So goal setting, when participants are ready to set goals and move forward and make changes in their life, we would want to set goals and priorities with them. So in family-centered coaching, this looks like breaking down long-term goals into small, actionable, and achievable pieces. And then achieving several smaller goals can help build confidence and skills to eventually reach their longer-term goals and vision. And I'll show you shortly a goal-setting tool, which actually speaks to this. And then again, this is a note. You saw the racial equity around that approach wheel in the last slide, so I just wanted to say one more note about that. So family-centered coaching really recognizes the impact of institutional racism and implicit bias within the organizations and systems that serve families. So through family-centered coaching, this is an approach which not only builds power and choice in participants that might not often have that in other systems, but it also helps coaches to understand their biases and address racial equity gaps faced by families whenever possible. So the toolkit and Frontline Focus has several specific resources around racial equity, assessing your organization's practices and working to improve them. And so I'm always happy to talk to folks more about that if you're interested. But this is really the meat of the toolkit. So the 6 steps. So the 6 steps of family-centered coaching are the engagement process that you would use with families. So you'll see here it starts with step 1. You as a coach would prepare for the meeting. And then when meeting with a participant, you would first need to build the relationship with the person sitting across from you. You would then focus your work. So what does that person want to work on? What are the areas of their life they're struggling with? And how can you help them reach their goals in those areas? Step 4 is assessing what role to play. So using that approach wheel. So do they need case management services? Do they need a motivational interviewing approach? Or are they ready for goal setting? And then once they are ready for goal setting, you can use Plan, Do, Review, which is a goal setting tool to move forward. And then finally, step 6 is building an ongoing plan for support and accountability. So helping participants continue setting and meeting their own goals and sort of scaling back your services as they build those skills. So within this engagement process and these 6 steps, there are specific tools that you can use as a coach and that you can use with parents or participants along these 6 steps. So you might not need or want to use every tool every time with every participant, but rather the toolkit is a set of tools that you can draw from. And so I'm going to, again, show you some of these specifically that I think you can start to use right away. Okay. All right. And then finally, the integrated disciplines. So as I mentioned at the beginning, the toolkit was informed by evidence-based research, and those 3 disciplines are trauma-informed care, executive skills, and behavioral economics. So I just want to mention those 3 briefly because they're all sort of their own bodies of research and work. But essentially these 3 practices and emerging brain research really shows us how people make decisions and operate in the world. So many families that we work with might have fewer resources and experience this toxic stress from less time, less money, as well as the effects of poverty and institutional racism. So through family-centered coaching, we want to explore these 3 disciplines, the goal being to use these 3 modes to make things as safe and easy as possible for families. So really making sure our organizations make decision-making easier for families. So with trauma-informed care, many of the families we can actually assume almost all individuals have experienced trauma in some way. And so how can we make participants feel safe, give them choice whenever possible, empower them, collaborate with them, and be a trustworthy resource. So this can be using these 5 trauma-informed care principles in our one-on-one sessions, in our environment, the way our organization is set up. So as we not only don't re-traumatize participants, but we actively make them feel safe and comfortable. Executive skills are sort of those skills everyone needs to move through the world. So things like time management, organization, planning, prioritization. And every individual has strong skills and less strong skills. And so how the toolkit, it's sort of baked in to help them build these executive skills and make them stronger. And then finally, behavioral economics is all about why we make the decisions we make. And so using a behavioral economics lens, we can make decision-making as easy as possible and sort of reduce any extra hassle factors that might be affecting our families. So in practical terms, this means some organizations have consolidated all of their intake forms into one to really make that clear and as easy as possible for participants to enroll in your program. Again, all three of these have many more examples, a lot more research, but the idea being, how can we make participants feel as safe and make things as easy as possible for our participants, because they are often experiencing hassle and stress, trauma, and other sort of barriers and challenges outside of our programs. And so we don't want to perpetuate or ignore this stress. Okay. And I will pause briefly there. I know I've just said a lot of things, but that was sort of an overarching view of the whole family-centered coaching approach. So I just want to pause here before I move on to some of the specific tools to see if anyone has reactions, questions, thoughts about the approach. You can unmute yourself, type in the chat box, anything. Yep.
Yeah. You can unmute yourself from the participant list or from the bottom of the webinar screen, or you can type into the chat pod.
Yep. Does anyone feel like this approach already aligns with some of the things you're currently doing?
That is exactly what I was going to ask. Or is it giving you guys new ideas of, like, the one thing that I really liked that you talked about is consolidating the application form or the intake form?
Yeah.
Because I know for different agencies it's really difficult, or for clients really, it's really difficult to fill out the intake form. Then you fill out this form and it just can, you know, for somebody that's already in a highly stressed environment, it can really maybe be a deterrent for them.
Yeah.
And an easy way for them to say, you know what, you know, I don't want to come back, or whatever the case may be.
Right, exactly. I think, yeah, that is a really good example of just how can we make things easier for people enrolling in our program so that they can access our services, and not think about those things that could add stress. And I would add too that some ways you can make things easier, such as consolidating forms, it might be easier for participants, but it could add more stress for staff. And so we also want to think about ways we can build this behavioral economic lens for staff as well. So it might be more work up front, but it might actually be easier for staff moving forward. So not to just, reduce stress on participants, but how can we also think about reducing stress for staff to make processes easier for them as well. So that was, the forms was one example, but there are other examples. One of the organizations we're working with has built in texting reminders for both participants and staff for all their appointments, which is a simple thing just to make sure, like, showing up for appointments is never an extra thing you have to think about. It's just automatically built in to get texting reminders, both for participants and for staff. So that's another example too. Any other thoughts about how this currently aligns with your program, or what of anything I said resonates with you? Okay, that's fine. I'll also have another pause to see thoughts and reactions after I talk through some of the specific tools. So,
just to let you know, we have 12 minutes before the next webinar starts.
Yep, I saw that. And I can have the full 12 minutes, or do you need a couple minutes?
I don't. I just wanted to.
Yeah, you have the full 12.
Perfect. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so a few of the key coaching tools. The first one is called Who is in My Family? So this is a tool that you could actually use early in your relationship with a participant. And it goes with the idea of really helping to build rapport and getting to know the person sitting across from you. So one of the key things you probably want to know about them is who they consider as part of their family or their overall support system. So who is really in their corner. So this is a tool you can use to sort of get a visual representation of who is in that person's family. And so how this tool is used, this is an example of it all filled out. So you are in the middle, and around the outside, you would write down all of the people that you consider in your family. So those might be traditional, like your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your grandparents, or they might be your closest friends, your neighbors, your teachers, your coaches, that really provide you the support you need in your life. And so you would write all of those names around the circle. And then the solid lines represent the folks that are important to your day-to-day life. The dotted lines are important to you, but they might not be part of your everyday life. And then the circles show the names of people who provide support for your daily activities, whether that's financial support, maybe childcare support, and it could also include emotional support. So this is a tool that you can use with a participant. You could have them fill it out and then bring it back to discuss. But the idea is it really provides you insight into the breadth and depth of that participant's support network and lets you know who you might need to ask about in follow-up sessions or in certain situations even involve in your programming. So again, this is a simple tool, but it really, we found, has opened participants up who are excited to talk about their family and who's in their support network and sort of, who is in their family or their corner. And then along with that tool, here are a couple of the key coaching questions that you can use to talk about the tool. So who are the people in your life that you consider family? Who plays a role in the day-to-day operations of your home life? Who in your life provides tangible support and who provides emotional support? And then who else might be thought of as family by others, and do you want to include them in your circle? So these are some of the powerful questions you can use in relation or along with this tool. All right, and then in the interest of time, I'm just going to talk through the tools and then get your overall reactions and questions to all of them. So the second tool is called the Wheel of Life, and this is a tool for working with families holistically. So thinking about their whole lives and identifying priority areas that you might want to work on with them. So around this wheel, you'll see 7 slices corresponding to potential important areas of a participant's life. And so the idea behind this tool is that you might not necessarily work with participants on all of these areas, but likely all of these areas could be a factor in whether or not the work of your organization is successful with parents. And so we want to ask about each of these areas to identify strengths as well as potential barriers or challenges. So how you would use this in practice, this is what it looks like. And so you would ask a family or a participant, how satisfied are you on a scale from 1 to 5 in each of these areas of your life? And so then they would fill in that slice up to the corresponding level of satisfaction. And then there is an other category for any other important areas of their life. So again, you would fill in each of these slices, and then you sort of have a visual representation of how that family feels about their whole life at that moment. And then, just like the Who's in My Family tool, there are powerful questions that will help you discuss the Wheel of Life tool. So again, it's really key with these tools to not just fill them out and move on, but have a discussion about them. So that first question, how satisfied are you with this area of your life, is the key question you would ask to fill out each of the slices. And then you could talk about, what do you notice about your wheel? What stands out to you? What parts of your life are you very satisfied with? Can you tell me more about those areas and what brings you that satisfaction? What are you most proud of on your wheel? And then once you discuss those strengths or the things they are happy or proud of, you might then start to talk about what areas are you less satisfied with? What feels out of sync? Can you tell me more about those areas? And then finally, what's one section of the wheel that if you changed would give you more peace and calm? What is bothering you most? And that could be an area that the two of you might prioritize and start to work on together. And then corresponding with the Wheel of Life in the toolkit on page 58 are content modules. So the content modules for each of these 7 slices includes information on why this topic is important. So why is financial coaching important when working with families? Why is talking about their health and well-being important? General tips and advice for coaching on the topic. Powerful questions like some of the ones I brought up to discuss with families around that topic. Specific resources that might be in your local community, and then general online tools and resources related to that topic. So you might not necessarily be an expert in all 7 of those areas, and sort of impossible to be, but the toolkit has sort of a resource book along with all of those 7 slices for more information. So I definitely encourage you to take a look at that. I'm going to skip over this. And then the very last tool I'm going to talk about is a goal setting tool called Plan, Do, Review. So Plan, Do, Review is sort of similar to SMART goals, which I know a lot of folks are familiar with. But essentially this is a tool you can use when a participant is sort of ready to set goals. And so this breaks down a large goal into tangible, achievable, smaller steps. So at the top, you'll see the major milestone. So what are you trying to improve and how will it benefit your family? So that's your large overarching goal. And then what is the first goal under this milestone? So breaking it down a little bit more. And then steps 1 through 4, what are the small steps you want to set towards your goal? Keep the steps small so they are manageable and progress can be made. So then you would break down that large goal into the first goal and then the 4 smaller steps. And then the second page, you would have one of these pages for each of those steps. So breaking it down even further. So let's say your overarching goal is to eventually get your college degree. So that's your long-term goal. So maybe one of your first steps is to just research some programs that you might want to enroll in, some college programs that you might want to enroll in. So then you would break that down even further. So setting your plan. So what actions will be taken? What role will my family members play? Who will do it? When will it be done? And where will it be done? And then once everyone executes their plan, that's the do part, you would then review. So a key part of coaching is that checking in and accountability. So how did your goals go? How did the plan go? If it went well, let's celebrate and move forward. If it did not go well, what do we need to adjust and revisit to move forward? So this is a tool that can be used over and over again to achieve different goals, to continue the plan and keep moving things forward. And similar to the other tools, here are corresponding questions you can ask to discuss the Plan, Do, Review tool. So what opportunities exist? What are concrete steps you can take right now? What would your family or support system suggest you try? Where can you get support? What might get in your way in this plan? And how could you overcome that potential challenge? And I'm going to skip this one. And okay. So again, those were 3 key tools that have been really well received by folks that have used this. Who's in My Family, The Wheel of Life, and Plan, Do, Review. So I'll pause here for a minute or two to just see if there are any questions about how to use any of those tools.
Are any of you already using something at all similar? Don't everybody answer at one time.
Well, if you're not, hopefully you got some good ideas today from Kaitlyn
Yeah.
of things that you can at least incorporate
Mhm.
back, you know, to your organizations, because these grants are so flexible. There's definitely things that you can adopt rather quickly and implement for your clients this time around.
Great. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm hoping that like those 3 tools are something that you could use right away with participants. But then also the full toolkit, I really encourage you to take a deeper look at. There's just so much information in there. Here's my contact information. Again, I will send out the slides and the link to the toolkit. Is it easiest if I send that to one of you to send out, or?
I have a copy of the PowerPoint that Tammy sent me, so I can upload that to the partner page along with the recording from the webinar.
That sounds perfect. Great. So then definitely feel free to reach out to me with questions. Please take a look at the toolkit. Sorry, I should also say the toolkit has those actual tools, so you can start to use them right away. And the slides have the corresponding page numbers. So again, thank you all so much for having me. I really hope this was useful, valuable, and that you can start to think about how to use some of these tools in your programs.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kaitlyn, for giving us new ideas.
Yeah.
If anybody has any questions for Kaitlyn, make sure you reach out to her or reach out to us and we can get in contact with her. And like I said, if you need any help getting this implemented within your organizations, please let us know as well. Did Peoria join us? Just want to get an update from them, Peoria Public Schools.
I have no idea what the updates are for work-based learning.
For your students. So the last update we have is that there are 12 students in the program.
Okay, I don't have those numbers, to be honest with you, Tara.
Okay. Can you guys send those over today?
Yeah, I'll send her an email, include you in the email for the request.
And tell her just to run the report we went over today and we'll get it going.
Okay, all right.
All right, so it sounds like I have a call today with skills right after this. Who's the other person?
Erie, I'll call you at 12, you said.
Okay, let's shoot for 11:40.
You sure?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, anybody else have any questions? All right, skills, I'm at my desk. Thank you so much, Kaitlyn, and also thank you, Dee, for helping us out today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, everybody, have a great day.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.